Hello, welcome to Virtual Orientation 2021. I'm Robert Green, the Assistant Dean for the Bagley College of Engineering. For the next few minutes, I'd like to take some time to go over some important information about the college that will help you not only through the upcoming orientation session, but also throughout your time here. So you'll be responsible for this, so that's why we cover a lot of this stuff at orientation. Is you're going to be expected to know it and use it while you're here. So let's get started. So first, a little bit about who we are. I know some of you may still be looking for other schools and haven't quite decided where to go. So what makes Bagley College of Engineering special? One of the things is we're student-centered. Our focus is on producing graduates who are able to go out into the workforce, do great things for the companies they're working for, go to graduate school, go to professional school. And really what we're developing are engineers who can solve the problems that we're going to have to deal with tomorrow. So in order to do that, we have a very thorough program, some hands-on work, a lot of theoretical work, really getting you to understand the concepts involved in engineering so that you can apply them to new problems when they come up. As a result of that, our graduates are prepared to go on and further their studies if they want to, either in master's or PhD programs. And we do offer master's and PhDs in the Bagley College here at Mississippi State, and we even have some of those programs available by distance education, so you can work on them, earning those degrees while you're out working for a job. Our graduates are problem solvers. That's one of the things we hear from employers and others, is that our graduates are able to enter the workforce, find a problem, develop a solution for it. And our graduates are also highly sought by employers. So we have some really great career fairs, a great co-op program we'll talk a little bit about in a few minutes. But employers are really interested in getting our graduates to come to work for them. We offer 13 majors here at Mississippi State in the Bagley College. We have aerospace engineering, which has two concentrations, one in aeronautics, one in astronautics. We have both biological and biomedical engineering. We have chemical engineering, currently has three concentrations in it. One is practice, one is research and development, one is biomolecular. We also have a degree in petroleum engineering. We have civil engineering with, in addition to the standard civil engineering program of study, you can also have a concentration in environmental engineering if you'd like to do that. We have computer science as well as computer engineering. Our newest major, just now coming online at the undergraduate level is cybersecurity operations. We've been doing some of that work at the graduate level for many years, and we are recognized by the National Security Agency in virtually every area that they recognize universities and educational programs in. We also have electrical engineering. We have a major in industrial and systems engineering, mechanical engineering, and software engineering. We do have a major that is not listed here because it's more of a placeholder than a major, and that is engineering undeclared. That is for students who have met the admissions criteria for engineering, but have not been able to decide on a specific discipline. So we will allow you to stay in that for one semester, and then you'll have to move to a specific discipline in engineering so that you can stay on track. My recommendation is, if you are leaning towards one or two programs, it's best if you go ahead and pick one of those programs and declare a major in that. You will then take the introductory course in that program. You'll learn more about it as well as some of the other majors, and I think be better prepared to make a decision. If you stay in undeclared engineering, there is a general overview introductory course, but personally, what I have found in teaching that course is that at the end of the semester, most of the students say really what it did was help confirm their initial inclination in what to major in. So what to expect in college. So several traits our students have in engineering are, one, they're hard workers, they're really smart, they've done well in school, but college is different. So starting college, particularly in engineering, one of the things you need to plan to do is to work harder than you have in high school. Now, I know a lot of you have worked hard in high school, but it's going to have to work even harder in college to do well. And go to class. You're going to hear that several times throughout orientation, but go to class. If you're not going to class, you're not going to do well, and we have years of data showing that. So if you're not going to class, you're simply not going to be successful. You might be able to, do that in 1 or 2 classes and get by. Not recommended, but you're certainly not going to be able to have a long history of doing that. So go to class, each and every class, and then learn to learn. That is one of the things about college, is we're here to teach you how to learn. So you're not going to necessarily be told everything in the classroom and then you just go home and memorize the lecture. You're going to have to read the books. You're going to have to work some extra problems. You're going to have to do some studying on your own. You're going to have to learn how to learn on your own, because that's what's going to be required of you as a professional. You're also going to be responsible for yourself while you're in college. You're responsible for your actions or your inaction. If you fail to do something by a deadline, there are consequences for that. If you do certain things that shouldn't be done, you're responsible for those. We also want you to learn to see the world differently. We're dealing in a global economy. We've got climate issues. We've got lots of different things going on where we can't just look at ourselves from the perspective of our local town or even our state. A lot of the decisions you will be making as engineers will have implications on things far beyond your local area. So we want you to see the world differently, learn to work with different people, and I want you to make new friends. You'll have a lot of opportunities to do that and join some organizations as well. So what a typical week will look for in college. Let's keep in mind what you should do. We'll talk a little bit more about it. But right now, let's just say we're working with 16 hours in the classroom or the laboratory on average. What we're expecting there is you've got to do some studying. Studying is not just doing homework. Studying is not just cramming for exams. Studying is going back before the lecture and after the lecture, reviewing the material in the book, reviewing the material covered in class, getting ready for class, reviewing what you covered in class, getting ready for the next class. So we're looking at, on average, 2 to 3 hours outside of the classroom for every hour in the classroom. So if you're taking 16 hours in the classroom, that's 32 to 48 hours of study time. Add that to the 16 hours. I mean, look at what we're looking at now. Your typical school work week is going to be 48 to 64 hours. Some classes you won't need to put that much time in. Some you may need to put a little more in. But this is just sort of a good gauge of what to expect. Now, in addition to this, you're going to have other activities. You're going to want to eat. You're going to have meals. You're going to want to sleep. And although a lot of people think, well, I'll just do without sleep for a long time, we really don't recommend that either, because that starts to have an impact on your performance in the classroom. So you do need to get some sleep. You do need to exercise. And of course, you're going to want to have some time to relax, enjoy some entertainment, spend some time with friends. And some of you may have to work. A lot of our students do work while they're in school to help pay their way through school. So you may have jobs outside of the university or even working jobs in the university. My recommendation there is really limit those jobs to 15 to 20 hours at most per week, and that may vary some depending on your course load. If you're trying to work a full-time job and be a full-time student, it's not going to work. I have seen too many students try that and it just doesn't work. So you've got to work all of this in, and the key here is really not so much how much work you have to do, but you need to be really good at time management. And if you can schedule all of this stuff, you can be very effective, very successful in school, and also have some time to yourself and enjoy college. A couple of years ago, 2017, the New York Times came out with a list of why students do not graduate on time. And I've been sharing this for a couple of years now because I really like it. And I agree with all of it too. And one of the things is working too much. They recommended limiting work to 20 to 25 hours per week. I think 15 to 20 is more like the limit for an engineering student. And then there's this 12-hour fallacy. A lot of people say, well, 12 hours is a full-time student. 12 hours is defined by the federal government as a full-time student for federal financial aid. None of us here think that 12 hours is what you should be focused on taking, or that should be your target. That is the minimum you have to take if you're getting federal financial aid. Our programs require 128 hours to graduate, except for civil engineering that requires 130. So if you want to graduate in 4 years, take 128 hours, divide by 8 semesters, you get 16 hours per semester. So that's on average what you need to take to graduate in 4 years. The other thing they said was transferring. You might lose some credit. That's true depending on what you do. Now, we have really good relationships, particularly with our community and junior colleges in Mississippi. Students go there, they indicate they want to come here for engineering. They have really good advisors there, and they're able to help those students prepare well. So we do have good success with students transferring in from a community college, really not losing much credit, if any, and being able to pursue. But if you've been goofing off in community or junior college, just exploring things, trying different things, you may lose some credit along the way. Similarly, if you go home during the summer and want to go to a community college and take courses, we ask you to work with us so that you can make sure those courses will apply to your graduation, or at least you're aware of that. There's certainly nothing wrong with learning things that don't necessarily apply to your major, but we just want to make sure you know that they're not going to apply before you do that. Changing majors is another reason. It is very possible that depending on when you change majors, you will lose credit, it will set things back, and it will take you longer to graduate. Generally, that's not a big issue in engineering, particularly your first year. Our programs are very similar. So if you start in one major in engineering and decide that's not really the one you want, and you want to change to another discipline within engineering, that's usually easy to, it's not usually, it is, that's easy to do. And typically you don't lose much credit. If you choose to leave engineering, you similarly don't have a lot of difficulty with that either, because a lot of the courses you've taken in engineering actually exceed what you are required to do in some of the other majors. For example, calculus is the first math course that applies to an engineering program. Most other majors just have a math requirement, not necessarily calculus. So if you leave engineering having had calculus and go to a major that just requires a math course, you've met that requirement. The other issue is no social life. Every now and then we have students say, I'm just going to focus on school and that's all, I don't want to do anything else and be out of here in 4 years. That's also not a good thing to do. We do want you to have some friends, we want you to join some organizations, and we will have an organization fair for engineering student organizations early in the fall semester. We try to do that the second or third week of school, give you a chance to get settled in, but also get it done before you get too busy. And you'll have an opportunity to see what organizations we have within the College of Engineering. And then, of course, there are a lot of other organizations you can join outside of engineering, so we encourage you to investigate those. And then the third thing is falling behind. So you've heard the expression, 3 strikes, you're out. Well, that's the case here as well. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to ever see you there. But if your grades get too bad, one of the first things that's going to happen is you're going to be put on probation. That's strike 1. When you're on probation, you're going to be limited to how many hours you can take. We're going to reduce your course load to allow you to focus on that. Hopefully your advisor will be working with you, trying to help you get caught up, figure out what's wrong. If you don't improve from probation, the next thing is academic suspension. Academic suspension is strike number 2. Requires you to be out of school for a semester before you can petition. We do have a process that allows you to petition early. There's not a guarantee that you will be admitted or readmitted early, so you may well have to spend a semester out. Those are all done on a case-by-case basis. If after suspension you come back and you still don't improve, the next step is one we really don't like to talk about, and that is academic dismissal. At that point, you are no longer a Mississippi State student, and we will not even look at a petition until you have been out of school for a full calendar year. And also, there is no guarantee that you will be readmitted after that year. So I say this because I don't want you ever to get in that situation. but if you do, take it seriously. When you're put on probation, just because we're not throwing you out of school does not mean we're not serious about it. We want you to take that seriously. That is strike one. So just don't get there. Maintain good grades, and we won't have to talk about those things. We also want you to prepare yourself for after college. So we have a great honors college, the Shackles Honors College. Encourage you to get involved in that. We have a wonderful cooperative education program. So something else to get involved in as well. We have many study abroad programs both within the college and within the university. We have minors, we have certificate programs, and we also have accelerated programs, now sort of calling that Thrive in 5, but these are programs that will allow high achieving students who are considering graduate school during their program to take a certain number of hours at the graduate level. And then after you complete those courses, we can use those courses to satisfy undergraduate course requirements as well. And then when you go to graduate school, you already can have almost a semester's worth of graduate work done before you ever enter graduate school. So we'll talk more about that once you get here. That's not something you need to worry about your first semester for this orientation session. Similarly for minors or certificates, there's really not much you need to worry about that at this orientation session. There will be time for you to discuss those with your advisors once you get here. Shackles Honors College, like I said, is wonderful. We have some great people over there. They love to work with students. They offer students a lot of help. And one of the questions we often get is, well, can you do honors and engineering? And the answer is simply yes. In fact, we have a lot of students who do it. 40% of the students in the Honors College are engineering students. Okay, we are not 40% of the university population. So we really have more students in honors than we should if you just sort of look at how things are distributed. I think that says a lot about the quality of our engineering students, as well as the great things the Honors College has to offer and the attraction our students see for that. Some of those benefits include some research opportunities. Really good, especially if you're thinking about graduate school, to get involved in some undergraduate research. You have some smaller classes, you'll have special seminars that are useful. They have their study abroad program as well, so you have some additional opportunities in the Honors College to pursue some study abroad. Also get some study partners. You can find some like-minded students, similar majors, and develop some great friends. So if you're interested in the Honors College, I encourage you to look into that. Our co-op program is another wonderful thing that we have here in the College of Engineering. As an entering freshman, you can begin that as soon as the summer after your freshman year. If you are a transfer student, you have to complete one semester before you can begin that. In reality, it's usually a little later than that for freshmen, simply because of what the employers are looking for in students. So for engineering students, it may be more towards the end or the summer of your sophomore year, or even the beginning of your junior year, before you can really get the jobs you're interested in co-op. But regardless, I encourage you to talk to the co-op office early, get involved with them early, and interview early, and go through the process. And if you don't get a job offer, and you may very well get one, but if you don't get a job offer and you're not really looking for a job, that's okay, but you will gain some experience in interviewing and be better prepared when it's time to go in and you're really after that job. About 60% of our engineering graduates have some type of work experience, whether that's just finding a job on their own and not really doing it through the university, maybe in the summer, whether it's an internship or whether it's co-op. Regardless of what you do, rather than go off and just work, I would encourage you to try to do it through the university, either as a co-op or an internship, and have that reflected on your transcript. Co-op requires 3 semesters of work. The idea being that you go to work for a company one semester, you come back to school, go back to that same company the second semester, and go back to the same company for that third and final semester. That allows you to really explore the company to get a good idea of how you are and who you are, and most likely is going to result in a job offer. A lot of benefits from co-op as well. Average pay for engineering students, $19.67 per hour. So that's a big plus. And a lot of our students will do co-op just for that. They will say, I'm going to take a semester of co-op, save my money, and come back and be able to help pay for college. You generally get a job offer at and usually before graduation. Many of our students do not have to interview for jobs who go through the co-op program, because when they leave that final semester, it's oftentimes with a job offer in hand, knowing that once they graduate, they're able to go back to that company. They know what job they'll be doing, who they will be working with. And they get higher pay when they do that because they have that experience with that company through co-op. The other thing about co-op is we also found those students have better grades. And this is not a situation where only the better students are doing co-op, but this seems to be a case where students who do co-op have better grades because of the co-op. The job experience, the opportunity to go out, get a break from school, but still learn, still practice in engineering, really has an impact. And I think it also helps demonstrate why you're learning all that theory in school and how it's actually applied in the workplace. So you come back after that co-op and understand, this is why I need to focus on school and studying and learn these things. So how does co-op work? This is another question we get, is does co-op extend how long I stay in school? It's a tough question to answer. If you're looking at it theoretically, yes, it requires an extra year. If you look at it practically and what happens with students and just how they go, it really doesn't necessarily extend your time in school. And sometimes we actually see students who co-op can graduate sooner than students who don't, just because of the way things work out. But let's look at it, what to look for if you don't do co-op. You're going to go to school for 4 years. And let's assume you know, no hiccups along the way. You come in, you start, you're off running. 8 semesters later, boom, here's your bachelor's degree. What do? You get a job, you go to work, you work for a year. Okay, so now we're looking at 5 years. Well, what happens if you do co-op? Well, if you're doing co-op, you're going to come to school for a little while. Then you're going to go to work for a semester, come back to school, go to work for a semester, come back to school, go to work for a semester. At that point, you have completed your co-op obligation. Now, a lot of our students will continue because they enjoy the work or the money is good. They may go back for a 4th or a 5th co-op term. But after you complete 3, you have met the requirements of the co-op program. So then you come back to school. Now where are you? You're at 5 years. Okay, so you're basically at the same point, but what those 3 semesters of work equate to is that 1 year of work experience. So at the end of 5 years, you were at the same place if you had not co-opted. You just got the work in school, the work experience in school intermingled rather than sequentially. So you're at the finish line, same place, except co-op students are a little better when they get to that finish line because they made money while they were working those 3 semesters. The students in school did not make any money. And those co-op students typically get a higher starting salary than the students who don't co-op. So not only have they made money in school, they're now at the finish line, they have a higher starting salary, so they're making more money than the student who didn't co-op. This works well with everything we have at Mississippi State. The entire university, especially the College of Engineering, supports the co-op program. So if you have scholarships, we will defer those while you work. You won't lose them. You will still get however many semesters of scholarships you were promised. We will just say, all right, you're going to co-op. We're not going to give it to you this semester. You'll get it when you come back. And one advantage of that is if you are scheduled to be in school during the summer because of co-op, you can request that we give you your scholarship in the summer. That is not an option that is available to students who don't co-op. So typically when we give, at least just think about an engineering scholarship, they're typically for 8 semesters. We consider those fall and spring semesters, so students who come to school in the summer do not get scholarship funding for that unless they're co-oping and asking for it. Great study abroad opportunities as well. Gives you an opportunity to go out, explore the world, meet some different people, some different cultures. We have a lot of opportunities in the College of Engineering. They're mainly in Europe, and a lot of our courses, in fact, our MSU courses are taught by MSU faculty. We are picking up on this now. COVID, of course, had an impact on the program. We're now getting back up to speed. We're still hoping to get one done sometime this summer. We're not real sure. We're working that out. Some of the others we've had to delay again, not so much because of U.S. regulations, but because of the countries we want to visit. We have opportunities in the Honors College and other colleges that you can participate in as well. We're also part of the Global Engineering Education Exchange Program, GE Cubed. This allows you to apply and go to another school, but pay tuition at the same rate as MSU. It also allows some students at those schools to come to MSU. So that's another opportunity to look at. Now, our College of Engineering study abroad opportunities, and a lot of them at MSU, are typically in the summer. So there'll be summer type programs. The GE Cubed programs, however, are different. They're typically not always in the summer. They may be a year long, or they may be a semester long. And we've had a lot of students take advantage of that. Schools in Australia, Europe, Canada, Korea, Japan. Students go all kinds of places for doing that. I said earlier not to worry too much about minors and certificates for this orientation session, because it's really not going to have that great of an impact on what you register for. But I do want to mention those to you so you can talk about them and think about them once you get here with your advisor. Minors typically require 18 to 19 hours of additional work, and certificates require about 15 hours. We have lots of minors on campus. The ones most engineering students pursue are either computer science, electrical, or industrial engineering. Mathematics is very common. There are so many math courses required of engineering students. Many of our students find that all they need is one or maybe two additional math courses, and they can have a math minor. Software engineering, global engineering leadership, I'll talk about that in just a minute, leadership studies and others. Certificate programs are in automotive engineering, computational biology. We have a really great engineering entrepreneurship certificate program, one of our largest. Energy, information assurance, as well as materials. So these are all things that you can do that demonstrate you've got a little more interest than the typical student. You've taken some additional coursework. They will appear on your transcript, and it may help you get a job or get a higher salary at the job based on that. So one of our goals here is we want to create engineering graduates who can go out and lead global engineering firms. There's a lot of opportunities to do that. The people who do it love it, have great success. So we're trying to provide an opportunity for students who think they might have that interest to develop some skills and obtain some knowledge to help them do that. So our Global Engineering Leadership minor requires 18 hours of coursework. 6 of those hours, 2 courses, is a foreign language. The nice thing about that, and this is one of those exceptions to, you don't really need to worry about it at this orientation session, but if you want to do this minor, do think about it for this orientation session, because foreign language also counts as the humanities general education requirement. So you have to have 6 hours of general education requirement in humanities. So if you do 6 hours of foreign language, you can not only satisfy your global engineering leadership minor requirements, you can also satisfy your humanities requirement for engineering. There are 6 hours of electives. These may also count towards your major depending on your major. So those are things to look at. You won't be making choices on any of those courses, however, during this session. And then you need 3 hours of an engineering, overseas engineering experience. That can be either an international co-op, it can be a study abroad opportunity. We have a very active Engineers Without Borders chapter here. That's one way. And there are other ways that you can get that experience, but we really want you to not just go overseas and say, hey, I've toured Paris, but we want you to go over and understand, see how engineering works over there, work with some engineers over there. So parents, suggested graduation present, maybe a passport, so that when we get back to where we can travel, students can take advantage of this. Our accelerated program we're now calling Thrive in 5. You can earn up to 1 semester of graduate credit while you're an undergraduate student. Again, these courses are typically junior, senior level courses, so you don't need to worry about it for this orientation session, but keep in mind to plan for it. Credit to apply to your undergraduate degree and your graduate degree. And like I said, it is currently available in all except one of our majors. So, you're going to complete orientation today. You're going to go through some things. You're going to show up, most of you, in August. 1 or 2 of you may actually be coming to school in the summer. But for those of you coming in August, some things to do before you arrive. 1, change your mindset. Get out of the high school mode of thinking. Start thinking about college. It's different from high school. It's different from community college. You need to think about learning in a different way. One of the books I'd recommend you read would be What the Best College Students Do by Ken Bain. This is not a how-to book. It's not do this step and this step to get an A, but it helps change your mindset and get you thinking in the right way about college. It was recommended to me by a colleague over in the College of Art, Architecture, and Design a few years ago. I read it, and it's a great book, and I have been recommending it ever since I read it, just like he's been recommending it to his students. So get a copy of that and read it. We also have our Maroon Edition book, and I've been told it's going to be the 7 Habits. But this is the 30th anniversary edition by Stephen Covey, with his son obviously having some updates to it since Stephen Covey passed away a few years ago. It'll be the topic of some essays and some discussion. It's also a very common business book, so when you go to work, you'll probably have to read it. So having read it here, I think will not only help you do well in college, but it will also prepare you for the workforce. And look into what essays we might have written about this, and consider submitting some for the competition. It's a way to win some money. And engineers tend to do very well when they submit essays for those competitions. We also want you to complete the Maroon U 1000 course. You'll be enrolled in that over the summer. It's conducted online via campus. You need to have that done before August. These courses are served to you sort of as you want to take them, so you don't have to sit down for a whole day. They're modules that last about 45 minutes, but there are going to be some things that will help you be successful in college. We look at sexual violence prevention, how to do that. Talk about student conduct and the honor code. We do have an honor code here at Mississippi State, and we do enforce it, particularly in the College of Engineering. So cheating is not going to be tolerated, and just don't do it. So learn about the honor code. Talk about financial literacy. What is financial aid and scholarships? How are you funding your way to school? Making sure you're not going to get yourself so far in debt that you're never going to be able to get out of it once you graduate. Learn how to manage your money while you're in college. Some stuff on resilience and well-being. How can you recover when you suffer some life crises or get sick? How can you recover from that and keep on going? And then another one on academic success. What's required to be successful academically? What are some tips and techniques you can use to do that? We also want you to get a computer. We've had a laptop requirement in the College of Engineering for many years. It's required of all of our engineering students. We do not tell you what computer to get. We do not review computers for you. So don't send me hey, is this computer going to work? Because we're not going to do that for you. too many to worry about in that case. But we have minimum specifications available on our website. You can see those here. So go look at that. And those are minimums. So if you can get a computer that exceeds those minimums, that's all the better. Now, if you have a laptop that you're using now and it doesn't necessarily meet the minimum specifications right now, you're probably still okay for a little while. So don't necessarily rush out and buy a brand new computer to start your freshman year. You may not have to. Your freshman year, you're going to be doing a lot of word processing, maybe some spreadsheets, PowerPoint, some email, web browsing, that sort of stuff. You're not really going to be doing hardcore engineering computations. So the laptop you've used in high school may well work for a year or two in college. Now, most likely, if you do that, you'll have to buy a new one at some point in college. But if you can delay that, that just means you can probably get a better computer at the same price later on. If you do choose a Mac, pay special attention to those requirements. Macs, we love them. I'm doing this on a Mac. I'm a Mac person, but be perfectly honest, I don't really do that many engineering calculations anymore. But pay attention to those requirements. One of the particular things to pay attention right now are the new Apple Silicon, the M1 processors on Mac. Those are so new. We have not had an opportunity to get one and test it, so we really don't have experience on how they're going to work. We think everything will be okay. You will most likely, depending on your major, have to run Windows on it at some point, so you'll probably have to get parallels, and there's information on the website about that, which will allow you to set up a virtual machine and run at least a version of Windows you can get. We're not sure what's going to happen with that either. I did hear the other day that VMware is probably not going to make a version for the Apple Silicon, so VMware may not be an option in the future. So if you're going to do a Mac, just be careful. Pay attention, and if you can get by without buying a Mac this year, if you have one you're using in high school, I'd say try to use that this first year, and let's see, maybe we can get some experience on the Apple Silicon, and then you can make a more informed decision about that. You also need to have webcams. That is now required. Thank you, COVID-19. Last spring when COVID came out, we had to go virtual, so now we're just requiring all our students to have webcams. We will be doing a mix of courses. Primarily, the goal is actually 90%. I think we may actually be a little above that in terms of face-to-face courses. 10% or a little less of our courses will be online. And a lot of that is by student preference. It's not by necessity, but students have said, hey, I kind of like taking an online course where I don't have to get up and go to the classroom, or it's offered asynchronously. So I can take it when I want to rather than when you tell me the class is meeting. So for that, you'll need a webcam as well. And then should COVID happen again and we have to go virtual again, which we're all hoping we won't ever have to do again, but if we do, we want you to be prepared to have a computer and able to continue your coursework. So now I want to talk to you about course registration. A little different this year because of COVID and the restrictions we have on capacities and all, and how we're having to do things. So we're doing this a little differently this year. And you need to prepare for it. So the first thing, complete that orientation course before you come to your orientation session. Really do that. If you don't, it's just going to make life more miserable on you and possibly others, because somebody's going to have to explain to you what everybody else got from going through the orientation course. It's not that long, it's not that difficult, but there are some real nuggets of information in there, so do that. Resolve any holds you may have on your record, transcripts, immunizations, anything like that, anything that we're lacking. We need to get those holds resolved, because if you have a hold, you can't register for courses. Immunizations, we may be able to get you a temporary a release on the hold to let you register, but then it'll go right back on to make sure we get your shots. We're going to need transcripts from not only your final transcript from high school, if you haven't sent that, but if you have had any dual enrollment courses, or if you are taking courses at a community college over the summer, we'll need that college transcript sent from the college. One of the things we can't do is give you college credit from a high school transcript. So if you dual enrolled in calculus or English, for example, that may show up on your high school transcript. We can't give you college credit for that. We're going to need to get that course on the college transcript from the community college where you took it. Have that community college send us, or that other university send us that transcript, and we can give you credit from that. So just get copies of any of that. Very important for transfer students. Actually, transfer students, we're hoping that you've been contacted before this and have been working with your advisor, as with all of you, have been contacted by your advisor and been working with them. So it helps us know what you've taken. Check your MSU email. Respond to any request that your advisor has. Contact your admissions counselor if you want to change your major. We're doing a lot of work to help get you registered for courses before you ever attend the orientation session. So please do not wait till the morning of that orientation session to say, oh, I want to change my major. If you waited that long, yes, go ahead and change your major. But I'd really rather you do that sooner. Do that before orientation so we can get you to that new advisor. They can work with you. They can have your schedule ready. And when you come for your orientation session, you're ready to go and you're in that new major and everything's working out. Prepare your email. You can do this by going to My State, selecting Microsoft 365, look for the Outlook icon, and click on that, and you can read your MSU email. If you want to set it up on other devices, there's a knowledge base article here, our MSU ITS service desk. Here's the link to that. This will help you figure out how to set it up on an Android, an iOS device, or set it up on your personal laptop so you're not having to do webmail. As a student here, you will have access to Microsoft 365. I would encourage you to download that and use it. Get used to using Outlook for email. Check your email at least once a day, usually more than that. I want to stress this. Check your MSU email at least once a day or more often. By policy, email is the official means of communication with our students, and that's your MSU email address. If we email you something, we've told you. If you don't read it, this gets back on you. We're not responsible if you didn't read it. So do read it. We try to cut down on how much we send, but when we send something, we do expect you to read it. Students have lost scholarships by not checking their email because we've asked them to do something that was a requirement of their scholarship offer and they missed it. So it's your own detriment if you don't check your email, but check it regularly, once a day at least. You will have been pre-registered for some classes before your orientation session. So because of the way we're doing orientation now, this summer, your advisor has been working with you in advance. So hopefully there's been some communication on what prior college credit you have or AP credit you might have to expect, and they have pre-registered you in some courses. The target is typically 16 hours. Some of you, we may not be able to quite make that depending on circumstances, but we're trying to get you that full schedule. If you need to contact your advisor and haven't, here are the contacts. For aerospace engineering, we have Mashonda Bush. For biological and biomedical engineering, we have Dr. Philip Toe, Dr. Dennis Truax. For civil engineering, for chemical, petroleum engineering, we have Dr. Jessup. Computer science, software, cybersecurity, we have Ms. Wendy Dandis. Electrical, computer engineering, we have Ms. Kylie Crossland. Dr. Brian Smith is doing industrial and systems engineering. Mechanical engineering, we have Ms. Crystal Dixon. and of course engineering undeclared, that would be me. Dr. Truax, by the way, is retiring midway through this, so you may also want to, if you're doing civil engineering, keep in mind Dr. Isaac Howard, and I believe his email address would be Howard, HOWARD, at CEE.msstate.edu. But again, this is only if you have not been contacted by an advisor. I suspect most of you will have been contacted long before you see this slide. Math is one issue we deal with. The first math course that applies to engineering is Calculus 1. There are prerequisites on that course, and we are aware of those and we check for those. And you're going to be placed in an appropriate math score based on your ACT math subscore. These prerequisites are firm, regardless of what you did in high school. So the ACT math subscore to enter Calculus 1 is a 26. So if you've got a 25 and made 120 average on calculus in high school, you still can't take calculus. It's based on that ACT math score. So we're going to put you in the math course that's as advanced as we can based on what you have done on the ACT. So here are those prerequisites. If you have a 24 or a 25, we'll put you in trigonometry. 19 to 23, we'll put you in college algebra. If you do college algebra, you can then take trigonometry, then take calculus 1. You'll need to make a C or better in each of those in order to take the next course. Exceptions are AP scores of 3 or higher or prior college credit. So if you got a 24 math subscore, but you took trigonometry, for example, at a community college and have a C or better in it, or if you took calculus 1 at a community college and had a C or better in it, we'll take that credit and move on from there. But you need to communicate any of these exceptions to your advisor so we can get you registered in advance. There's also a math placement test available that you can take. My experience with the math test is if you have taken the ACT, the math placement test pretty much tracks what the ACT score does. If you don't have an ACT score, we will have to do that. It's administered by the Department of Math and Statistics. It has to be taken on site, which means you'll have to be at Mississippi State to do that. So for right now, we'll do what we have to do based on your ACT math score. More information can be found here at this web link at the math department on that exam and how it works. Similarly for English, we'll put you in an appropriate English composition course. Many of our engineering students, we will put you in Accelerated English Composition 2 if you have an ACT English score greater than or equal to a 28. What happens in this is if you take Accelerated English Composition 2, make a grade of C or better, you get credit for Accelerated English Composition 2, and you will get satisfactory credit for English Composition 1. So you won't have to take English Comp 1. However, if you make less than a C in Accelerated English Comp 2, you have to go back, take Comp 1, and take Comp 2. We've been doing this for several years. The only student I'm aware of who did not do well enough in this course and they had to go back and take English Comp 1 and take Comp 2 was a student who simply didn't go to class and didn't turn anything in. So if you have this ACT score, this would be a good thing to do. Now, this course also tends to fill up. So if that's the case, many of your advisors may go ahead and put you in English Composition 1, even though you may be eligible to do Accelerated English Composition 2. If that's the case, let your advisor know. You do have the option of dropping English Composition 1 and then taking Accelerated English Composition 2 in a later semester. All students have to take at least one semester of Chemistry 1 and Chemistry 1 Lab. This requires a Math ACT score of 24 or a grade of C or better in college algebra. So we'll most likely put you in that course as well. The course and the lab do not have to be taken together. although they usually are. There are some cases, particularly if you're in one of the later orientation sessions, where the labs may be full, so we may only have to put you in a chemistry course and not the lab. Another reason for that may be time conflict with another course you need to have. So you can always take the chemistry lab another semester, although we will try to do them both together if we can. You also have to complete general education requirements. There are a lot of those, but the only ones we really focused on here, because the other stuff, the math, the science, and all that's taken care of within the program of study. But you have to have 6 hours of social behavioral science electives, 6 hours of humanities, and 3 hours of fine arts. Unless you have told us otherwise, we're going to put you in what we have found over our many decades of doing this to be the most popular courses students take. So those would be psychology, sociology, history, those types of courses that engineering students tend to take. It's usually difficult to find a fine arts course the first semester, so that's okay. You got plenty of time to take that. And you can change your humanities and your social sciences to what you prefer. But they have to come from the approved list that's in our current catalog. So you can't just take any psychology course. There are only specific psychology courses that apply for this. You will be able to make these changes during orientation or after. So as you change your schedule, please be careful. Changing sections may result in losing your seat. So if you're trying to move from one section to another just to get a better time, during that process, you may find that the seat you were trying to get into got filled, and after you left the seat you had in your previous section, it got filled, so now you're left in limbo and you don't have a course, and there's nothing we can do about that. The fact that you were in it, got out of it, somebody else got your seat, is not, we can't give you any special consideration to get back in that course. So as courses start to get close to being full, be careful what you're changing. Go back to this real quick. While you're here, you'll also be working with some orientation leaders. They will be able to help you with some of your schedule changes. And they'll sort of know what they can and can't do. So if you want to change, general education courses, that's okay. If you want to just try to change a course from time to time, that's okay. But if you start getting into questions that are going to affect engineering courses, or, do I really need to take this math course now, you're probably going to be sent to talk to your advisor. Do want you to keep in touch, so keep in mind that here's our webpage, Facebook, Twitter, and then of course your email address. It will be your net ID at msstate.edu. So parents, students, follow us, keep up with us there. And here's my contact information, so feel free to contact me if you have any questions, and if I can't answer it, I will send it to someone else. I want to thank you for your attention. Hope you got something out of this, and I look forward to seeing you virtually at orientation, and definitely seeing you here on campus in the fall. Thanks.